Once again, my name is Adiola Fayon. So black people in America have come a long way, and for the first time, we actually have a black president in America who is now serving his second term. And this is the month of February, which is the month that we celebrate the black history in America. And to talk to us about that is none other than Queen Mother Blakeley. Her real name is Dr. Dolores Blakeley. She is an honorary mayor of Harlem for the last 8 years. She holds a couple of Ivy League degrees under her belt and has been a champion for equal rights and community services for disadvantaged people. Queen Mother, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
So, let's start from the beginning, okay? Let's start from your name, Queen Mother. I mean, what does that mean? How did you become the Queen Mother?
First of all, I am the community mayor of Harlem, okay, which is a very distinguished African-American community. The first woman to ever hold that position.
Wow.
And so I've been in that position in the 80s, so I would say over 20 years.
Wow.
Now the legacy must be passed on, which I'm hoping to leave the legacy to another woman.
Another woman.
Okay, that is my goal.
And this is, sorry to cut you off, but this is like Black History Month. So I don't know if you mind talking to us a little bit about that. What exactly does that mean, and why are we celebrating history?
I think we need to put it into the content of Mother Africa.
Okay.
As the Queen Mother, that's who I am. I carry the legacy of Queen Mother Audley Moore, who lived to be almost 100 years old.
Wow.
She slept and ate Africa.
How old are you, do you mind?
Well, I'm an elder now. I'm an elder.
Don't ask a lady her age.
Yes, yes. And I carry the legacy for 55 million African descendants of the transatlantic ocean of the slave trade, okay, the displaced Africans. And in that content, we had to survive as displaced Africans in the United States of America or in North America. And so carrying that issue, and in the legacy of Queen Mother Audley Moore, the late king of the Shanti Kingdom of Ghana installed her as the Queen Mother of North America. So I carry her legacy, and I carry the legacy of my own by the elder Queen Mother in the Shanti Kingdom that is alive today.
Wow.
Her son is the king and hold the stool in the Ashanti Kingdom. And he came to the United States to meet with a man by the name of the former Secretary General Kofi Annan from Ghana. So Ghana holds a son in Harlem, but also, how does that connect to us for Black History Month?
Yeah.
We have to go back to who we are, to our roots. And Kente, to Alex Haley, talking about Kente, and talking about the southern part, the western part of Africa, the Gambia. And from that energy, we hold Africa. And during the time of the Middle Passage of the transatlantic ocean of the slave trade, of the displaced African, we was able to carve our own Africanness. And through that, people like Julius Nyerere, the former president, which was my godfather, and I was a Fulbright scholar, looking at African traditional socialism and what could we derive from Africa, a part of my Fulbright work that I did in East Africa and in West Africa, which is Nigeria.
And we are going to talk about you being in Africa, because she has traveled to so many African countries, if not all African countries. And, we're coming to talk about that. But I'm wondering if you can just talk a little bit about why you think it's important for us. I love all this history that you have brought up, where we're from and all that. But why is it important and significant for us to always remember where we are from, especially now that we celebrate Black History Month? What is the significance of this month?
Well, Black history and Kwanzaa means something to us, but it's still derivative from Africa.
It is.
And that's what I want to make clear, that this is not something we made up on our own and became this displaced people, the greatest crime ever committed against a people, that I want the world to know is the Holocaust that we experience. It is a Holocaust, what we have experience, from the tradition, from the culture, from the language, and we don't know who we are. And we are suffering from, as Queen Mother Moore put it, psychoneurosis as a people.
Wow.
In spite of that, and the commonalities, from where there's a water wave, that's where we come out of. And that's why I've been in the search of Africa as an African, finding my own people. It's beyond a roots.
Wow.
It's about a people.
People.
It's about an African people. And you're talking about the continent of Mother Africa. And so from the water waves, that's where I travel. In holding that energy, we've been able to study, some of us, and that was my search of who I am, whence I come from, that put me on the journey to Mother Africa, to the continent of Mother Africa. We are the pure African children within the setting in North America. We come from no particular tribe, no particular language, no particular tradition or culture. We created our own in North America. And so we hold Black history very special to us. Out of that African experience, we hold the history of Africa from whence we set. They are born out of our experiences as African descendants.
Okay, in case you're wondering that, oh my goodness, this woman is like fire or something, you know, how she's like giving this speech. She gives a lot of speeches. She is like that. And I'm sure that by now they've put up her phone number and her email address on the screen in case you're thinking about reaching her. I know she's available by telephone early in the morning or late at night. So if you want to book her for a speech or something, so I'm sure that they have her contact information on the screen. Thank you so much, by the way. I love the way you speak with so much passion, you know.
Yes, so we are the true Africans.
Yeah.
And also we have defined who we are. And Black history gives us a time out to just reflect on us.
You know what? You have actually stepped on my next question, which is to ask you about your experience, you know, traveling within Africa. First of all, how many African countries have you visited? I mean, trying to find out more about your people, you know, where we are from and all that. So how many African countries have you been to?
Well, I've never stopped to count.
Huh.
Because, first of all, Africa has been divided by others.
Yes. So
So
you see
I
it as one.
reclaim it as the United States of Africa,
okay.
and it is one continent.
It is.
And so we have the right to move forth backwards
Anywhere.
across the continent of Mother Africa.
I like that.
So that is the dialogue that I have for the consciousness of young people like yourself.
Yeah.
It is the United States of Africa. It's only one continent.
It is. So what was your experience like? Let me say, maybe the first time you went to Africa, was it what you were expecting?
I started off in East Africa, in Egypt, and in the Nile, of great history, of a great queen, Queen Hatshepsut.
Wow.
And so I declare her as one of the great queens, the Black queen that ruled, that looked like me. So I am carrying the legacy of Queen Hatshepsut,
Okay.
the one that ruled as a man, because you could not be a female and rule Egypt or rule Africa, in spite of the fact that it is the mother who really instilled the king, her son or her child. That may not be her birth child per se, but she's the one that has the power and the control of a country, of a continent, which she is the mother of civilization.
Yeah. So what was your experience like in Egypt when you went that time?
First, it was the first time that I had gone home, and I was at MIT,
Wow.
Massachusetts Institute of Technology. If you're talking about the high sciences, then you must go to the Sphinx and the pyramids.
Yes.
That is a given.
Definitely.
So that's what had me to go to Egypt, to start my journey, to start my life in search of my people. And at the Nile of Egypt, and in the valley of the tombs of the queens, Queen Hatshepsut.
What were the people like when you got there? Was it
When
what
I
you were
arrived in
expecting?
Egypt, I went to the Nile to pray and to thank God for allowing me
come
to
back
return
home.
to the soil of home.
Africa.
So I wept like a baby at the
Aw,
Nile.
Queen
I cried.
Mother.
I cried, and I thanked the ancestors for allowing me to begin my journey at the Nile in Egypt. And from there, I began my life journey. And then I went on to a place called Tanzania,
Oh, great.
where you have the, the, the kingdom,
Okay.
the belly of life itself, Gori Gori Island,
Okay.
and other places of the slave trafficking, which is in West Africa, born out of Senegal. And so I began to pick places
Wow.
for my own consciousness that I will be able to derive and to build from. For us to return back to Africa, Gori Island holds the key. In spite of the fact I've been to the Cape Coast dungeons, at the time that Barack Obama arrived, I was in the kingdom because I am a Queen Mother. And so 15 years later, he followed me to the Cape Coast, which I call the dungeons and not the castles.
Okay.
And the blood stain is still on the wall of Ghana, West Africa, of my ancestors. So with this traveling to Africa, it has a deep meaning for me.
I can see
It's
that.
not just a trip to Africa to buy kente cloth. I
I'm
don't
sure it
have
has
time for
even
that.
spiritual
But it is
meaning
a
for you.
spiritual awakening for me,
Awakening,
which
great.
is true. And also it's a part of finding a doing of a DNA, which then gives us the right first to return home. We need to institutionalize that journey. And from coming back into Africa through the place of Gori Island, it's the most visited slave house in the world. It's declared by UNICEF, not UNICEF, UNESCO, of the United Nations. So it is a heritage site that is declared.
But you know, Queen Mother, one thing that's really troubling me right now is that all these things that you're speaking about, I feel like a lot of young people today are no longer paying attention to all these things. Is that something that you've noticed, and how does it make you feel, you know, that a lot of us are not paying attention to where we are from, and we just, you know, rely on whatever else we were taught in school?
Well, it's about an education. So the house where I lived 30 years ago, the young people from Africa, from all over the continent, they come there because I'm the Queen Mother. They come for guidance and direction, and they need time out in America. Most of the African nationals need a home away from home.
Yes, they do.
So they find me some kind of way in Harlem. And so I'm the Queen Mother, I'm the mother to Africa. Being the mother to Africa, the young people come to me.
So you are able to teach these young people, you
Begin
know.
to educate them first of who they really are and who have divided them, that they cannot relate to each other coming from the continent. Most of the nationals that live in the United States had never been across the continent of Mother Africa.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want you to do is to visit Africa, visit the continent.
Yeah.
Get to know what you have,
Yeah.
the rich culture. And not only that, your resources that everybody else is indulging in the belly of Mother Africa, and you are not there to participate.
Yeah.
So you must understand what
Where you're from.
God has endowed Mother Africa with. You name it, they have it.
Yeah.
Everybody is
so
coming
young
to
people
Africa.
really need to pay attention.
They
to all
must
these
be
things.
educated.
They must be
They must be educated. And they must harvest their skills while they're in the United States to return home to Mother
return
Africa
home
to
and-
build not their little village or their little traditional culture that they must come from, but stay in tune and touch with Africa.
Africa.
Don't tell me nothing about you being a Nigerian, you from
know.
Igbo land,
You
Yoruba
are an
land.
African. You know,
You're an
that is what
African
it is.
first.
Yeah.
And this is what I teach
but
the
then do you-
nationals.
But then do you think that all these things can be celebrated just in 1 month? I mean, I'm just, wondering your opinion about that. Is it just about February and then that's it?
Well, we have to talk about the 24 hours. But that's born out of now the Africans of the diaspora or the African, the indigenous African, because also African nationals call themselves Africans of the diaspora, because many of them want to have an American citizenship. They want American passports.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, and quite a few of them do have it. So they are really considered African Americans. All right, so now we are Africans descendants, which African nationals cannot claim to be the descendants of the Africans of the transatlantic ocean of the slave trade. We are the displaced African. So we still have carved out who we are, but born out of our DNA, it began to put us where we really come from on the continent of Mother Africa.
So this is not just something that should be celebrated in 1 month. We should try to make it an everyday thing.
It's an everyday,
be
it's a way of
educated
life.
and all that. It is
It's
a
to
way of
be
life.
a African. But it is important that African descendants have carved out the month of February as our month to reflect on who we are.
You know,
as a people.
I'm just a little curious, like when you were growing up, what was it like, you know, at the time of MLK Jr., at the time of Malcolm X, what was it like when you were growing up? Some little things, you know, that you notice things have changed over the years, but the things that you wish young people will understand, you know what, young people, it wasn't always like this. We had to fight for our rights. You know, can you talk to us a little bit?
Well, I first had to fight for my identity of having what we call the broad features. If you look at my features are very African. I grew up on Tarzan and Jane. Tarzan, and you know, the white woman, Jane, and they did the dance from swinging from trees and calling Africans monkeys. So I come out of that era of being a child growing up, not considered being beautiful, just my features. So my features are very broad, and my hair was very kinky. My hair is still kinky. I do not straighten my hair. My hair is very kinky,
It is.
which was different from Queen Mother Moore, where the slave master raped her grandmother, that her hair was very straightened, and she was high yellow. If you think of the rainbow colors of black people, it's in our race because of the slave master, that experience of raping the African woman.
I see. So you had to fight for your identity first
My
of all.
identity as a little girl growing
Wow.
up. And so it was my father say, beauty comes from within, not from without. So I'm not a high yellow child. The offspring of the master was treated differently. Even with me going to school, it would have been very difficult for me, because of the color of my skin, to have gone to some of the prominent black schools, such as Howard or Tuskegee, because I'm a dark
But
child.
you did.
I am a black child.
You went to Ivy League school.
Yes, but that's not a black school. That is not a black school. I could not get into Howard because of the color of my skin.
Wow.
I'm the slave master. I'm the slave daughter from the fields, not from the house. I'm not a house Negro by no stretch of the imagination. I am the field child. I am the slave child, you see, just by my features. So I thank the Creator and thank my ancestors for fighting the master to maintain my color and what I look like today. Don't care where you go in Africa. They thought I was joking when I could not speak the language.
I see.
You see,
Because
wherever
you
I've
know,
gone,
so
I went
African.
from border to border.
They
with
always
my
thought
hair.
you are part of,
It was
you know,
like, you from
great.
Uganda, you
Yeah,
from Nigeria.
I think you're from Nigeria, you know,
Well,
yeah.
I am, because the name has been given to me, Ife, the
Ife.
goddess of love.
Oh, great.
That is my name.
I'm glad to welcome you home, you know, because I'm a Nigerian as well.
Yes, but I'm
so.
older than Nigeria, though.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was born October
well, but
1.
you know, Nigeria,
October
the
1.
it's just the Independence Day that was
Yes, October
1st. So
1.
Nigeria has existed for more than 100 years.
That's
at
right,
least,
or longer, or longer.
Yeah, even longer.
Yes,
So.
longer than that, because it comes out of the mother
You know
of
what?
civilization.
Let me ask you my last question briefly, because I really need to round up. But you used to be a nun, and then you dropped out of the convent, and your story is actually similar to what was portrayed in the Sisters Act. You mind talking just a little bit about why you decided to, you know, stop being a nun and going to Ivy League schools and all that?
First of all, the Creator has endowed me with gifts, And it's important that young people develop yourselves at the highest level you can, and the good for humanity. And also,
if you don't remember anything, remember what she just said. Develop your skills at the highest level that you can.
that the Creator has endowed you with, which is innate gifts. You cannot harvest it from someone else. Your intelligence is your intelligence. You're born with it. And so do what you must do with the gift that the Creator has given to you. Whatever name you may call that Creator, God, Jehovah, Allah, whatever name that's in your consciousness, develop yourself. And in doing so, I wanted to sing. I wanted to serve the world. I wanted to dedicate my life. My family are not Catholics to this day. They are Baptists and Methodists. And so with them allowing me at the age of 14 in search of my being, I went into a convent at the age of 16, that's not the age either. They usually take you at the age of 18. So I told everyone, I convinced them. That's why with young people, they could be very convincing at an early age. And so I convinced my parents that I had a calling to enter a convent, something they knew nothing about. And I entered the convent at the age of 16. I stayed in for 10 years.
Wow.
And I came out. I made final vows in the convent as a black girl, as a black child, now as a black woman. I left at the age of 26. I went in at 16, made final vows for 10 years, and I left the convent. The stories that's been told, and that's why I sued Walt Disney. None sued Walt Disney for $1 billion against Sister Act. And the reason why I am reclaiming who I am, no one has a right to reclaim me. I must not steal from me, but I must reclaim who I am. So I'm in litigation right now, and I ask the world, and especially Africa and Nigeria, where I need to come to see my son, I call him Jonathan, good luck. I call him Good Luck Jonathan. And he did invite me to the 50th anniversary of Nigeria, which I have not arrived, but asking that he brings me home so I can discuss my life and continue to ask those to support me in my struggle of the liberation and freedom of a black woman, a black mother, and a mother of civilization of Mother Africa.
Thank you so much, Queen Mother. I so much enjoy having you here today. Unfortunately, we have to cut it short so that we can, the other guests are here for the interviews. But thank you so much, for sharing your wisdom and your memory about what it was like before black people are liberated, and what it is today, and all your travelings to African countries. Thank you so much, Queen Mother.
Thank you.
All right, people, I'm sure that you have enjoyed listening to the one and only Queen Mother here with us in the studio, and I'm glad that you have her email and her phone number to reach her, to learn more, to listen to her more, and to book her for speeches. So she's available early in the morning or late at night if you're calling her by telephone, because she travels a lot, she's very busy, that's what she says.
And at the United Nations.
And she's also at the United Nations. But stay tuned, we have much more to come. We have more interviews to come. And we're also going to be interviewing the governor of Osun State today, I believe, Governor Aregbesola. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Thank you.